Do the work. Do the work. Don't think somebody's going to do it for you, right? Your counselor, your coach, they're not going to do it for you. They're going to walk you through the process. Hi everyone, thank you so much for tuning back into my channel where I love to talk about the power of consistency as it relates to wealth, knowledge, love, and laughter. All right, so let's get into it. So last week we talked about the power of consistency and being consistent in our self-love and self-care, right? And so today we're going to talk about being consistent in our personal development. I feel like the two really go hand in hand. Whenever I'm developing myself personally, that just means that we're showing ourselves care. We're caring for ourselves and we're loving ourselves enough to do the work and put in the personal development to become the best version of ourselves. And so today, just want to talk about 5 things that I feel like are very important to make sure that you get started with being consistent in yourself development, personal development, right? And so just a little bit of background about myself, like I mentioned in previous videos, I've put in investments to work on myself personally, which in turn for me is showing myself love and self-care, like I said last week. And it's so important for us to make sure that we're developing personally, because if we want to really become the best version of ourselves, the person that God created us to become, we may have to work through some things. Life brings us different circumstances, right? And it can cause us to get off track with who God really created us to be. And sometimes we have to unlearn some things to relearn what we need to get us into the future of being the best version of ourselves. And so today, like I said, I want to share 5 points with you guys that I feel like are very important with being consistent and getting started with your personal development. All right, so let's get into it. So number 1, don't be afraid to admit that you need help. Don't be afraid to admit that you need help. So admit that you need help. I've realized that awareness is so big in anything really. Like if we're not able to be aware that we need help in a specific area, how are we going to be able to be open to receiving the help or making a change, right? One thing that I heard years ago, I always say no confrontation, no change. And sometimes we just have to stop and confront some things in ourselves and be willing to make the change. So number 1 is admit that you need some help, all right? Number 2, do the work. Do the work. I know it's so easy for us to, maybe go to a counselor and just sit on the couch and just cry our hearts out, right? And just leave and not really put in any work to do anything, going forward. I know, for example, for me, when I would go to counselors years ago, and really when I was going to counselors at that particular time, they weren't giving any action steps. Like I was just going there and I was talking and leaving and going back and talking again. So it was just a talking match, right? But now I know a lot of coaches and counselors, when you go to their office, they're going to give you action steps to take when you leave off of that couch, right? And so when you find a coach or a counselor or whatever that fits you, you don't want to only show up and just do talking, right? You don't want to have this idea that you're going to go there in their office and at the snap of a finger, things are going to change magically. No, you have to put in the work to actually make those changes. So if they give you assignments to do, sit down, read the assignments, write down things, really dig deep into what caused this area of awareness that you are aware of now, right? Really dig deep and see what has caused you to react this way or what has caused you to think this way, and really start to pull up those roots of whatever it is that you're dealing with. So number 2 is do the work, all right? Number three is give yourself grace. During this time of personal development and really digging deep, it's going to be fearful, right? You may start to, doubt yourself. You may even want to run away. There are so many things that may come up for you during this coaching or counseling session that you want to run away from. But I encourage you to stick to the plan. Stick to the plan and give yourself grace. It's okay. One thing that I heard Jolunda say recently is, I forgive myself for thinking I could do better when I didn't know how. So sometimes we have to give ourselves grace and not, hold ourselves accountable for things that we didn't know how to do. And so that leads me into my fourth point, which is forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. And like I said, Iyanla said, forgive yourself for thinking you could do better when you didn't know how. Forgive yourself for things that you may have done in the past that you were well aware of doing. Forgive yourself for those things and do the work so that you won't repeat those same cycles. Okay? And so number five is to be optimistic about your future. Like I said, I know fear may rise up for you. Doubt may rise up. You may want to run away from the process. But be optimistic about making the change and becoming the best version of yourself that God has created you to be when He formed you in your mother's womb. And like I said earlier, there are so many things that come up in our lives: divorce, teen pregnancy, abuse, whatever it is that comes up that may, it adds so much weight to who we are, right? It can add so much weight to who we really are, to where we don't even know who we were meant to be. We don't even know who God created us to be. But we have to begin to chip away at those things that have tried to come to weigh us down. We have to chip away at that wall that has come, that's so heavy and so hard. We have to chip away at that slowly but surely. So they say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And so don't feel like you're going to do this overnight and it's going to be an overnight transformation. Be in love with the process. Okay, be in love with the process. Be well aware of the goal of becoming the best version of yourself, but fall in love with the process, because it's not always going to be easy, but you can actually do it, and you can be very optimistic about your future self. All right. So listen, hope you guys enjoyed those points. I'm going to swing back through them again. Number 1, admit that you need help. Number 2, do the work. Do the work. Don't think somebody's going to do it for you, right? Your counselor, your coach, they're not going to do it for you. They're going to walk you through the process. So you have to do the work. Number 3, give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. Understand that it's okay that you didn't know, right? But now you are aware and you're going to do the work. So give yourself grace. Number 4, forgive yourself. You didn't know what you didn't know. So it's okay. And even if you did know, forgive yourself and move forward and get out of that cycle. And number 5, be optimistic about your future and becoming the best version of yourself. All right, guys, so this is my time for the week. It's been a pleasure speaking with you guys again. I hope that this resonates with you. If it does, make sure that you subscribe, share, follow, like this information so that I can continue to bring this information to you. And I'm looking forward to speaking with you guys again on next week. So be blessed and have an awesome week.